Hey guys, it's Deanna coming to you with another math video. So today's video we're going to talk about what a reciprocal is. And a reciprocal, another word for it, is the multiplicative inverse. All right, so let's just dive in here. Let's talk about these key terms here. And I have two examples on the left-hand side to show the parts of a fraction and how we can describe these fractions. So a first one is the numerator. All right, so the numerator is the part of a fraction that is above the line and signifies the number that's being divided. So for x over y, what's above the line? X is above the line, so x is the numerator. All right, so for 5 over 4, 5 is above the line. 5 is our numerator. 5 will be divided into 4, divided by 4, into 4 pieces. All right. Okay, the next term here is the denominator. Denominator. So the denominator is the part of the fraction that is below the line, the fraction bar. And that function as the divisor. So that's what's doing the dividing. So for x over y, the denominator is y. And for 5 over 4, well, 4 is being the divisor. It's doing the divising. So 4 is the denominator. All right, let's look at the next term here. An improper fraction. So a fraction in which the numerator is greater than the denominator is called an improper fraction. So 5 over 4 is an example of an improper fraction. We have 5 that is greater than a numerator. Then the denominator, my bad, 4. 5 is greater than 4. Yeah. And sometimes when we take the reciprocal of a fraction, we'll end up with an improper fraction. So that's just something to keep in mind and keep our eyes open for. And improper fractions, we can always change it into a mixed number when we have a whole number and then a fraction with a numerator and denominator. All right, so going back into these terms, let's talk about what we're just here for today, the reciprocal, the multiplicative inverse. So we can find this multiplicative inverse by interchanging the position of the numerator and denominator. So if I have 5 over 4, I'm going to put my numerator in the denominator and my denominator in the numerator. So 5 over 4 would be 4 over 5. And that would be a proper fraction. All right, so let's get into some exercises here. We have 5 over 6. Let me rewrite that. 5 over 6. So we have 5 over 6. Let's find the reciprocal of it. So we're going to take our denominator, and it will now be our numerator. And we're going to take our numerator, and it's going to now be our denominator. So 5/6 is now 6/5. Okay. All right, now let's talk about the multiplicative inverse. Why do we call our reciprocal the multiplicative inverse? Well, when we multiply 6 over 5 and 5 over 6 together, we get back the identity of multiplication. It's the inverse of 5 over 6. So let's just multiply these together to show that we get back 1. All right, so let's multiply 5 over 6 and 6 over 5. Our product should be 1. So 5 times 6, our numerator would be 30. 6 times 5, our denominator is 30. 30 pieces and 30 to make a whole, we have 1. The identity of multiplication. All right, so indeed 6 over 5 is the reciprocal, the multiplicative inverse. All righty, let's carry on to the next example. 7/4. So rewriting this, 7/4, 7 is our numerator. So if we take the reciprocal, 7 will now be the denominator. And given where 4 is the denominator, for our reciprocal, 4 is our numerator. Alrighty. So let's multiply these together to make sure that we get back the identity of multiplication, since 4/7 is the inverse. All right, so 7 times 4 is 28, and 4 times 7 is 28. And indeed, we can simplify that to 1. All right, so our multiplicative inverse is 4/7. Oh, and look here, we started off with what kind of fraction? With a improper fraction, and the reciprocal became a proper fraction. All right, let's do another little exercise here. All right, we have 9. 9, the whole number 9. So you can take any whole number and put it over 1 to turn it into a fraction. All right, so let's see here. If we have 9 turned into a fraction, 9 over 1, let's work with this. So we have 9 over 1. Alrighty, and let's have our reciprocal of 9 over 1. So 9 is now the denominator and 1 is now the numerator. And when we multiply these together, 9 times 1 is 9. 1 times 9 is 9. We get back 1. All right, so for the number 9, the whole number 9, we see that the reciprocal of 9 is 1/9. Okay, all righty. And here's a similar one to that 9. So we have 11 over 1. So we really could just simplify this later and just say that we're talking about the whole number 11. Okay, so let's just take this reciprocal of 11 over 1. All right, if we take the reciprocal, our numerator will now be 1, and our denominator will now be 11. All we did was flip that fraction. And let's prove that 1/11 is the reciprocal by multiplying 11 over 1 and 1 over 11. So 11 times 1 is 11, and 1 times 11 is 11. And indeed, 11 over 11 gives us 1. All right. So for 11 over 1, or just the whole number 11, the reciprocal is 1/11.